Thank you. So I'm gonna start with the song because that's what I do best. The rest is just the rest. So, headquarters, I'm sure you know, sends us out what the themes are for the month. And this one is abundance. And of course, they have it hyphenated, a bun dance. So, of course, instantly some really silly images came up for me. So you can smile about that. Sometimes it's a little hard to come up with stuff to smile about. There's a song called Endless Supply. May our lives be a reflection of the love that's inside. Our eyes be the windows. We have nothing to hide. May our spirits be joyful and our hearts open wide. Gifted and giving on this spiritual ride. Love is here for the giving. Let your heart be your guide. It's your life, so start living. There is endless supply. Endless supply. So reach out and touch your neighbor. Show them their worth. We are spirit's creation. We're perfection from birth. Abundance surrounds us. There's no lack, only mirth. Gracious and grateful for our time here on earth. Love is here for the giving. Let your heart be your guide. It's your life, so start living. There is endless supply. Endless supply. Endless supply. Open and willing, filling with light. We are creating a beautiful life. We have the wisdom, kindness and grace, lifting and healing the whole human race. We have all that is needed. We are part of the source. Endless extensions of a powerful force. Eternally given all we need and much more. So give back, pay it forward. Even the score. Love is here for the giving. Let your heart be your guide. It's your life, so start living. There is endless supply. Endless supply. Love is here for the giving. Let your heart be your guide. It's your life, so start living. There is endless supply. Endless supply. Endless supply. Sing it with me. Endless supply. That's a firm math. Endless supply. Beautiful. I love it when y'all sing along. I don't feel so lonely. So I'm going to read an affirmation, and I want you to repeat it after me, and we'll do it in sections. Seeing the connection of all, I recognize my part in the thriving of all. Let's do that one more time. Seeing the connection of all, I recognize my part in the thriving of all. Okay, I'm done with my service. To me, that kind of sums up what
headquarters wants us to talk about today.
Right.
So we're going to explore the power of paying attention to what level of sensitivity, consciousness, love, compassion that we bring into every new encounter or interaction or situation. Are we just like blindly slogging through our lives, or are we slowing down a little bit and paying attention and observing as we move forward? Are our hearts and our minds tuned into what we're doing? Are we connecting on a substantial level? Are we tuned in? So I think one of the most important things, especially in the current climate, and I'm not talking about the weather, it's really important for us to have an awareness of the abundance, that in spite of how the outward appearance of things are, that there is always abundance and it's always available to us. Like, think about a recent potluck that you've attended, people bringing their favorite dishes and the best in themselves and their jokes and their humor and conversations and stories. So, and all are welcome at potlucks. It's abundance at its best. So we're exploring about how to rise in our abundance consciousness and how that in doing that, it blesses not only ourselves, but those around us. So my vision of a world that works for everyone requires us to understand how interconnected everything is and how important recognizing that thread that sews everything together. I love the metaphor of the redwood trees. You probably know about them because you live in an area, but redwood trees have a gridded root system. They don't have a tap root. They have a gridded root system that reaches out for 500 feet around the base of the tree. And they swap information, they swap nutrients, they swap intelligence. And if you notice, in a heavily populated redwood grove, there's a very little windfall because they literally hold each other up in the windstorm. So as we move into this post-election experience, and I hope I don't start crying too, I hope that we can remember that imagery of that even if we don't feel connected or we feel disconnected or angry, that we're still connected. There is a web that connects all of us, even if we can't see it. And I just think it's so important. So am I the only one that focuses on my lack? Good. Okay, so we need to work on that, all of us. So our human nature can make us very easily turn toward competition instead of, because we have this perceived limited supply, when there is no limit to what's available to us, especially in love and compassion and kindness. There's no limit. We may feel empty sometimes, but it's so important to dig deep, especially in these times. So we need to look at how changing the competitive edge. I've been in the music business for 50 years. If you want to talk about competitive, let me tell you about it, but not in this talk. So we need to shift that consciousness to a consciousness of enoughness. So I'm going to read you a little story about My Neighbor's Corn by Naren Kinney. There was once a farmer who grew excellent quality corn. Every year he won the award for the best corn. One year, a newspaper reporter interviewed him and learned something interesting about how he grew it. The reporter discovered that the farmer shared his seeds with all of his neighbors. Why, sir? Said the farmer. The reporter said, how can you afford to share your best seed corn with your neighbors when they are entering in competition with yours each year? Why, sir, said the farmer, don't you know? The wind picks up pollen from the ripening corn and swirls it from field to field. If my neighbors grow inferior corn, cross-pollination will steadily degrade the quality of my corn. If I'm to grow good corn, then I must help my neighbors to grow good corn also. So is it with our lives. Those who want to live meaningfully and well must help enrich the lives of others. Doesn't it feel great when we're doing something, a kindness, even if it's letting somebody go in front of us in the store, Or paying it forward. I love the Starbucks line, you know. I don't personally frequent Starbucks, but sure you've heard stories of people paying for the car behind them. One of my friend's kids worked at a Taco Bell drive-through, and it started with one car and it went on for like an hour. Every car, and she was in tears by the end of it. That much kindness and generosity. A few people said, well, how much is the order behind me? And then determined if they could do it. These are simple things. And the value of life is measured by the lives it touches, not our stuff. The quality of the response and joy depends on the quality of thoughts and love that we share and spread. So those who choose to be joyful, and they just by coming in joy and kindness, we help those around us. It seems so simple, and yet it's sometimes so hard to just get there. And here's a musician story. I learned this concept of sharing in the very competitive LA music scene in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. I played regular club gigs and was one of the first and only women that was actually, I was going to say willing to learn the technology, but it was more dragged into by my hair. Learning the technology by my then producer. So I was able to build backing tracks and I sounded like a full band. And I'm fairly good at what I do. So with the edge of having some natural talent and having that technology, I started getting gig offers for more than I had enough time to do. Now, when I started doing the club circuit, it was uber competitive. And I held on to my gigs with a death grip. I never wanted to bring in a sub. I would come in sick because if somebody got in there and got my gig, then I'd have to go out and start hustling again. But as some abundance started coming my way, I started calling other musicians and offering them my gigs. I would find the appropriate talent, the appropriate fit for the room. Eventually, my reputation and at building a following and helping other musicians grew. And to this day, I'm still in touch with some of the women. It grew into a camaraderie. It grew into the clubs coming directly to us and knowing that they would have good quality entertainment. So everybody won. It wasn't altruistic of me at the beginning because I was very isolationist and very protective, but that was such a good lesson for me. And it's been that way throughout every other part of my life when I recognized there really is enough to go around and that each of us musically had something different to offer. Maybe somebody was a much better keyboard player. Maybe somebody was really good at learning all the cover tunes and I was a little lazy about that. I wanted to do my own music. But everybody had something, and I'm still in contact with several of these women, and it's been 40 years. So that was a real awareness of abundance that working together, we created enough for everyone. Like the farmer, we enriched our lives and work situation by sharing and lifting others up as well. So Dr. Mark Hyman says, the power of community to create health or anything else is far greater than any clinic, physician, or hospital. The farmer and our musical communities prove that. We created a healthy, supportive environment for all of us. So here's some perspectives that, on how large this concept can be. Stewardship is an ethic that embodies the responsible planning and management of resources. Unfortunately, it's gotten a bad rap. It's, from religious sects and by society, because it's often perceived by being an environmental activist or by managing resources, it's perceived as being a fight over limited resources instead of looking for ways to use the resources that we have more effectively and more generously. So stewardship tells spirit that you're aware and grateful and participating in this flow, this constant flow of abundance and prosperity. And we do this by how we handle the resources that we have. Look what the farmer did. He shared the best so that he could keep what the quality of his thing and also to help his community. Healthy self-respect and self-interest do not conflict. with a world that works for everyone. They go hand in hand. So, and the same with the musicians. When we were willing to share what we had, we lifted everyone up. We grew our own fan bases. We grew our network of jobs. So Ernest Holmes teaches us that God wills us to have everything. As we express life, we fulfill God's law of abundance. But we do this only as we realize that there is good enough to go around. Does anybody else get stuck in that? Oh, but this is mine. And even like taking stuff to the Goodwill, it's like, I was so broke for so many years at the beginning of my career. When something would tear, it would be, oh my God, when am I going to be able to save enough money to get something nice to wear to the hotel that I was playing at? So for me, it's been a real interesting process to learn that there is good enough to go around. And only as we know that all of God's gifts are given as freely and fully as the air and the sunshine, and are given alike to all.
Yes.
That's a big component for me, that it's out there, and this love is like the air that we breathe. It's like the sun. There's no reason to hoard it. Anybody know any hoarders? So I want to do a chant. This is another new chant that I wrote. I've been channeling a lot lately. And I want you to close your eyes, and I just want you to ask yourself, I want us to ask ourselves, where am I operating from a sense of lack and limitation? And where do I work from a sense of enough or more than enough? Just notice and do your best to release judgment around both, because we're not bad when we get stuck. We're just stuck. And acknowledging when and where we're stuck is a really important component to getting unstuck. So be alert for ways that small acts of sharing freely from our abundance can benefit others. So this is kind of a three-part thing. Think into where you're feeling like lack, and then think into your abundance. Got it? Got it. Okay. Where is it? Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do this one. This is reminding us that how connected we are as well. Goes like this. And you can sing along too.
Create with the universe. I am one with all there is. I am one with all that there is. I am a We are one with all that there is. Sing it with me. We are a part of all there is. Peace, love, and happiness. We co-create with the universe. We are one with all there is. We are one with all that there is. We are one with all that there is.
Good job, y'all. I could see the wheels turning for some people. So, thank you for doing that with me. So another example of sharing abundance, and it just cracks me up because every time I see abundance, my talk next week is about the dance of abundance. It's like people, especially people like, my friends that have these nice big round bottoms, shaking that abundance. So another example, I don't know if they have a program like this up here, but in Santa Cruz, they have a program called Gray Bears. And I can tell nobody's heard of this. It's a program that they have made arrangements with stores and people with large gardens to pick up overstocked, excess, almost expired projects, and they put bags together for people over 60 of basically fresh stuff, some canned things, bounty from people's gardens, and they distribute it to people in our area. It's $55 a month. And the extra bags that are not picked up are left at our local bank. And it's just a beautiful program. And I often cook. I had a friend that just had knee replacement and then just found out on Tuesday that a friend's husband had passed. And so it's so wonderful to have some of the extra stuff and talk about abundance. My women's circle is, Eileen's been a part of it and is a part of it. She just hasn't made circles lately. People that have one of our neighbors that is part of the program has dietary restrictions. Somebody can't eat onions, somebody else can't eat greens. So we get a lot of her extra stuff. And it's so wonderful to have just a little extra when I'm cooking for other people. So we all benefit from this simple program in myriad ways. So as far as our personal practical application, we live in a culture that teaches that there's not enough, right? That's pretty much a nasty message that I got from parents who barely made it through the Depression, that, hang on to what you got, be careful how much you share. So we are kind of indoctrinated to this culture that you have to ensure you get your share. And it can be challenging embracing the Science of Mind teachings that there really, truly is enough. And that the more that we give, the more we receive. Has anybody noticed that besides me?
Yes.
The reward of cooking these meals for people. And it's hilarious because my friend whose husband just died, I didn't know, but she's always like, you think I'm little? She's like this miniature. And she doesn't cook and she barely eats. And they are so excited that all of us women from the circle are cooking for her and her daughter. It's just great. They're like, what are you bringing tonight? So, and it feels so good. And I do love to cook. So anyway, it can be challenging to embrace this abundant universe. So how do we do this? Well, one way is through our spiritual practices. It's looking for the abundance in our lives, whether it's, large, small, everything. The flow of abundance changes our experience in every moment. Is it our friendships? Is it our spiritual community? Is it a beautiful sunset? Is it the wonderful parents that we might have had? Or if we didn't have good parents, the wonderful people who stepped in and parented us. There's so much to be grateful for. A win for one of your kids or grandkids or nieces or nephews. So we don't have to look that hard because attitude is a huge component to helping us shift instead of wallowing in this lack mentality and shifting to the recognition that when things are rough or a little bit tight, that we've gotten through that before, that there's a way through. And sometimes we need to ask for help. Sometimes we have to work a little bit harder, but it's always there for the taking. So from my previous experience with this congregation, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir because y'all kind of get this, and I think you live your lives this way. So I'm going to close with a quote. Actually, I'm going to close with a couple quotes. One, I want to share one more Ernest Holmes. There's one source of everything in the universe which takes the form of the supply we need when we need it. Anybody else always kind of get exactly what you need right when you need it? So Robert Louis Stevenson says, don't judge each day by the harvest you reap, but by the seeds you plant. And that's the flip side of this. It's not so much how much or what we're going to receive. It's how much that we receive in giving, paying it forward. So let us ask ourselves, what are we bringing to the potluck of life? There are plentiful opportunities to share our personal abundance, be it material items, a kind word, emotional support, physical support. I mean, God bless Mark, for I have like a bazillion stitches in my arm and couldn't lift my gear, but I really wanted to be here. So I just trusted that there would be somebody. Thank you, Mark. Let's give a big round of applause for Mark. And just the assurance that I would have help with such a tremendous burden off of me. So let's I encourage us all to bring our best dish to the table of life and keep our buns shaken to the abundance dance. Thank you.